Pep Guardiola is leaving Manchester City at the end of this season, and Enzo Maresca is going to become Manchester City's new manager. You see, I'm one of the biggest victims of Pep Guardiola's terrorism. This is supposed to be the happiest day of my life. This man has suffered me, shown me shege, but I'm not even happy. Why was it not 2 years ago? The only question I'm asking right now is why now? Why not 2 years ago? Why not 3 years ago? Why not 5 years ago? This man suffered me. He suffered me. He robbed me of 2 Premier League or 3 Premier League titles. How can you get to 97 points and you don't win the league? You get to 98 points, you don't win the league. 92 points, you don't win the league. Because this man exists. He suffered me. And how you know that he's the best manager that this league has ever seen? Many other teams can testify to what I'm saying. From Chelsea to Man United to Arsenal, there is no team that will not confess and bow down to the supremacy of Pep Guardiola. He is the best ever manager that this league has seen and the greatest manager of all time.
Mega breaking news. Bad news for all Manchester City fans. Fantastic news for everybody else in the Premier League. I hope I'm paying enough respect here as a rival fan to Pep Guardiola when I say that. Don't want to take anything away from Pep Guardiola and what he's achieved, but City are screwed. Pep Guardiola is officially leaving Manchester City. News broke tonight from David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano. Any journalist who's anyone has reported this news tonight. I've seen it. I've seen the reports coming out from the weekend. I was talking about it on FUTV. The impact this will have for every other football club. The impact on the transfer window coming up this summer with City going in against Manchester United for certain targets. With no Pep Guardiola there, what does it mean for their targets now? Do they look away from Manchester City because Pep's no longer there? This is a club with not much behind it apart from Pep Guardiola's era. That's it. In Premier League, they have won a couple of titles, but City are known for Pep, and he is leaving at the end of the season. On top of this, it is Enzo Maresca who is coming in to replace Pep Guardiola. Now, City have this mad idea that because Maresca worked under Pep Guardiola, he knows the staff, he knows the system, he knows everything about Manchester City, that he is going to be the perfect replacement. Romano's saying it was always Maresca. There's not even a thought of another manager coming into Manchester City. This has to delight the rest of the Premier League and world football, because I'm sorry, you cannot replace Pep Guardiola with Enzo Maresca. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, employing from within and somebody who knows Pep, knows the systems, knows what Manchester City want to do. But Pep's lost his backroom staff. That's gone. It wasn't just him. It was the team that came with him. That is not there anymore. I'm sorry. I don't care how well run City are behind the scenes in terms of what they do, recruitment and the structure they have got, their academy level players. Enzo Maresca is not Pep Guardiola. This is horrific news for every other Manchester City fan right now, but fantastic news for everyone else in the Premier League, in particular Manchester United and the transfer targets this summer. Do Manchester United now hold an advantage in getting Elliot Anderson? It is blockbuster. It's absolutely blockbuster. I did make sure that I paid my respects to Pep Guardiola at the top of this video, because Manchester City are nothing without him. I'm just going to say that. They're not the same team. It's the same with any club.
Pep Guardiola is leaving. Yes! Come on! Everyone celebrate! Why are you not celebrating? Why are you not celebrating? One of the greatest managers we'll ever see. Obviously after Fergie. But he's set to leave at the end of this season. Is finally happening. There were rumours. But you know what I did? I couldn't believe the Daily Mail. I couldn't believe them. I said, yo, let me wait. Let me wait until the ghost speaks. And Guardiola is leaving. David Ornstein, bomber. When I mean bomber, he said bomber. David Ornstein reported just a few minutes ago that Guardiola is set to leave at the end of the season. And Maresca is going to take his position of Man City boss. Wow. I can't lie to you. You know what it is here? Even though I'm happy, I still don't think I can process it though, because when you see an end of an era, it's an end of an era. I felt like that under Fergie. It was an emotional one. You know what I mean? I might have to call my little brothers now. You know what I mean? I might have to check up on them, because that's all they've known, some of them. Yeah, there's Pellegrini, there's Mancini, but in their prime, yeah, in the last 10 years, yeah, my little brother's what, 22. So when Guardiola came, he was about 12. So in his prime, yeah, he's only seen Pep Guardiola. He's only known Pep Guardiola. So these lot have only had the success. They've come into the prime. So this means a lot to them. But Guardiola, guys, is leaving at the end of the season. For me, as a Manchester United fan, I am glad. I am sick to death of seeing a guy who come in here, come to Manchester, set a president, come in. Yes, he's had money, but come on, guys. This guy has won it all. He's won 20 trophies. I repeat, 20 trophies.
We have this. Breaking news. Yeah? It's over. Pep Guardiola is a goner. It's finished. That man tried to lie to the players, bro. Let me read this. Pep Guardiola is furious at the timing of the news around his Man City exit, whilst the players are in a state of shock, having been told recently as Saturday that he would be staying. Pep is furious at the timing. Just before the game, he summoned the players to join a late-night group call, late-night Zoom, bro, and confirmed he's leaving. He apologized to the way the news emerged. It took him by surprise. The players were told recently as Saturday he wasn't going, so everyone is in a state of shock. Well, not me, because our guys, Stretford Paddock lot, they broke the news. They were there. They said, hey, Justin said this. What's going on? Shout out Stretford Paddock every single time. You, man, ruined it. And guess he's stepping in? Enzo Maresca.
Now, let's move on to talk about Pep Guardiola, because it was announced by David Ornstein that Pep Guardiola is going to be leaving Manchester City. Now, here's my thoughts. First and foremost, Pep, the human being, I respect so much. Because Pep, the human being, speaks up for all the causes that we want people to speak up for. You know, this is a Free Palestine channel, everyone knows. Big up to all the Palestinian people. Pep Guardiola has spoken for the Palestinian people many times, and that's something that I will respect forever. Pep, the competitor, you know, is a different thing for me. First of all, Enzo Maresca will replace Pep. I think Enzo Maresca is a very good coach. I think he's a very good manager. I think he was unfairly treated at Chelsea. I think Enzo Maresca has the capabilities to take Manchester City forward. I don't think this is the end of the road for Manchester City. I don't think Manchester City are finished. I don't think Manchester City are screwed. I think Manchester City will be in good hands with Enzo Maresca. I think he's a very good coach. He's shown the ability to out-tactic and out-manage opponents before, and big opponents as well, including the likes of PSG and Barcelona. So the guy obviously has a level to him. Now, Pep, the competitor, look, this guy gave me hell. You know, obviously, 6 leagues in 8 years. He was incredible competition to come up against. Always had the upper hand on Jurgen Klopp from a financial perspective, from a squad perspective. You know, so this is one of the things that you've got to look at. And you know, as a Liverpool fan, I wish FSG just spent a bit more money, but that's a different topic for a different day. But I have to give him respect. This guy came into the English Premier League. He dominated, you know, obviously lots of league titles, lots of wins, and he leaves as a Premier League legend, one of the all-time managers. His legacy will always be remembered in the English Premier League. His legacy will always be remembered in football as well. I mean, you see teams now in the Championship playing out from the back. You see teams in the Championship playing 4-3-3 offensive football. That's all down to Pep Guardiola. He changed the game for a lot of people. Now, I know people changed it before, like the Cruyffs and the Sakis and the ones that did it, you know, the Paisleys 40, 50 years ago, but I'm talking about the modern era. He's the one that changed the game. So you have to give him respect. You know, Pep Guardiola for me is an enemy. I love him and hate him at the same time. I love him on a human being perspective. As a competitor, I hate him. I hate coming up against Pep. That guy is not normal, you know, the way that he had his squad set up, his team set up. But I have to give him respect. He won 6-8 at the end of the day, and I can't say anything bad about that. So, yeah, I wish Pep the best of luck in his future, because he's an incredible human being. In terms of as a competitor, Yeah, I hate Manchester City because of Pep Guardiola.
Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. It's a monumentous day in Premier League history. Pep Guardiola will be leaving Manchester City, and Fabrizio Romano has already done the here we go on his replacement, Enzo Maresca. What a 24 hours, what a legacy in the Premier League, and what next for Manchester City, because they're not going to win this Premier League title unless something incredible happens with Arsenal against Palace at the weekend, and still Man City would need to beat Bournemouth tonight, which we'll be doing a watch along for. But look, I suppose when it broke last night there was some surprise, but there was some, you know, acceptance from a lot of us. I personally felt that Pep Guardiola was going to go last summer. If you think about just over a year ago when he was literally scratching his head after a poor run of results for Man City, I think there was the opportunity to go then, but there maybe wasn't a replacement there. So I think that Pep has probably done an extra year than he was going to. The interesting thing is that I think Man City win the league next year with Pep Guardiola. I think he is building something like Jurgen Klopp did, and they're going to, well, Klopp went early and Pep's going to go early as well. I suppose the difference with Pep is, how can you say he's going early when he's won so much? But you've got to go on your own terms in life, and very, very rarely do you get to do that. You know, maybe next season, winning the title, maybe another tilt at the Champions League with this new team. The dream would be to walk out the door with the Premier League and the Champions League, but he's obviously set this marker that he's going this summer, and in many ways you have to respect it. And we'll talk about what comes next for Man City, because it is at the beginning of the end. Some people, conspiracy theories saying the 115 is coming. I don't know whether it's any of those things, really. I think Pep Guardiola's probably hit a wall in relation to enjoyment of managing Manchester City in the Premier League. I think it's become, you know, relentless for him. It's, you know, we heard Jurgen Klopp, he said it's exhausting, so it will be for Pep as well. And maybe he just doesn't have the desire or appetite to go and do it again. And maybe he doesn't feel there's another Champions League in it. So maybe he wants to do other things. Financially, he's set for life, isn't he? But I suppose the only surprising thing is when it's broke. For it to break during an Arsenal game, 24 hours before a game that Man City need to win. But they've probably done well to keep it quiet for as long as they have. And look, on Maresca, which I'll speak about in a minute, because I want to spend a little bit of time on Pep. The only thing that made me think Pep would stay is because they're not going to win the league.
Pep Guardiola is leaving Man City. It's over. Ornstein bomber. Romano's said his piece. Daily Mail broke it first, I believe. It is finished. I can't believe it. You know, like, it's on the cards. It's been on the cards. And it's almost not that big of a shock. But now it's actually happened, and you know he's going to be leaving. It feels crazy. I don't know how I feel. On one hand, as a Man United fan, I'm glad. Finally, this guy is going to stop dominating this league. Finally, it should open it up. There's going to be a new Premier League champion this year anyway, in my opinion. But at the same time, this is massive for the Premier League. This is huge for football. When you think of big, iconic managers who leave football clubs, we all know about Sir Alex. Look at when Wenger left Arsenal, you know, when Klopp left Liverpool. And this Pep thing is in a totally different stratosphere. This is in more of the stratosphere of the longevity, the greatness that he's achieved as a manager in the Premier League. 20 titles he's taken, or 20 trophies, should I say, he's won for Manchester City. 17 major ones. Damn. Like, I kind of want to do the, yes, he's leaving finally. You know what I mean? And I'll do the trolling. Listen, he saw Carrick pulling up and said, nah, I'm leaving. But it ain't that. It ain't that. It's just crazy. Pep Guardiola's actually leaving.
Pep's leaving. I think we knew this day would come. Here it is. Apologies to those that were hoping to hear from me last night when the news broke. I didn't quite fancy running to my camera, you know, for the content. The content is king. Let's get that money in, get that revenue in, make sure It's a big story. It's a big story. Pep Guardiola leaving. Fuck your content. Fuck your story. I'm heartbroken. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I wanted to feel the pain that I was bracing myself for, because I think everyone's a genius this morning. Everyone's going to be, I told you so. I told you he was leaving. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, because that's not been a common theme ran through every single season that Pep Guardiola's been here. He's been wished out of the football club by so many outside of Manchester City. It's ridiculous. At this point, it gets to a point where, you know, a broken clock is right twice a day. Springs to mind. And where eventually you were going to be right, because of course he was going to leave this football club. I can see that the timing of the announcement is so bad, and journalists, ugh. Do you know what I mean? Selfish, all about them. Get that story out there. It's their job. That's what they'll say. And I'm just glad it's not my job. My job is to be a fan. Let's make that abundantly clear. I'm a fan. I don't want to report news to the sense of making sure I benefit from it, in the sense of, let's make sure I'm first. I've got to be first. I've got to be ITK, you know, because is that good? Is that a good thing? You know, is that a respectable way for Pep Guardiola to leave the football club? Ollie Holt, the Daily Mail announces it. Couldn't wait to pull the trigger. They couldn't wait to pull the trigger on Pep Guardiola the second he arrived at this football club. The guy rewrote English football. What it means to play English football now. English football has changed forever. The greatest manager that's ever lived, in my opinion, and in many opinions, is leaving Manchester City Football Club. And it's a decline, an inevitable decline. Maresca's the man that's coming in. We need to get on board with that. I'm not quite there yet. I do feel a bit uncertain about it. That's the way I feel about Maresca, is just complete uncertainty. But I'm not even really thinking about him. I'm not thinking about Bournemouth. I'm not thinking about the Premier League title. I'm thinking about the departure of Pep Guardiola, and that's exactly the reason why Pep Guardiola didn't want this news to come out in the first place. Because look now, we're not talking about Bournemouth, we're not talking about a Premier League title race. In a funny way, there is some stupid silver lining to this, that Arsenal are now being swept under the carpet. 20 years without a Premier League title, and you're now not the most important story of the day. Pep Guardiola is the biggest story of the day. So first, Pep Guardiola story, Arsenal to win the league. Second again, in relevancy. What a man. What a hero. What a legend. So much overwhelming gratitude that is inside me that I can't express it. I can't express the feelings of just sheer gratitude and thank you for doing everything. I remember when I met Pep Guardiola. I remember when I met him. It's the first thing I said was thank you. This was in his first season. And I said thank you for coming.
It's all over. Guardiola is leaving City at the end of the season. Not confirmed officially by the club yet, but so many proper journalists have come out and put their neck on the line finally to say that this will be Guardiola's last season for City. Bit of a shame how it's been leaked in this sense rather than officially confirmed by the club. It is what it is. We knew that it was coming whether this season or next. We knew that it was a fluid situation. It was going to be determined by when Guardiola wanted to step aside. Guardiola has now seemingly decided that that is the case. I want to take some time in this video because I've not properly been able to process the information. I don't quite know how to react to it. So I want to take some time in this video to talk about the impact of Pep on English football, on City, what we achieved under him, how excellent of a manager he has been for us, and we'll need to reflect on what City will look like in a post-Guardiola world as well. I don't want to do the whole "the king is dead, long live the king," but at some point we do have to talk about the future beyond Guardiola as well. I know that the body isn't even cold yet, but at some point we are going to have to talk about that as well.